Hello friends, welcome to yet another session on essay perspectives. The topic for today is those who cannot remember the past are doomed to repeat it. As always, I have a personal appeal friends. Third edition of my book Ethics, Integrity and Aptitude has unfortunately been pirated. Pirated copies are of very low paper and print quality. I urge all of you to buy original. Original copies can be bought by clicking on this URL or by scanning this QR code. Friends, every essay topic has to be conceptualized as being made of various components and subcomponents. So this essay, first we would introduce the topic, then we would dwell upon the essence of the topic, then we would argue as to why one should not forget the past, and then we would we would advance arguments as to the adverse impacts of forgetting the past. And then we would introduce an element of criticality, critical analysis into the essay, wherein we would argue if one should necessarily remember the past always. Then again one more dimension of critical analysis is introduced when we try to explore whether one would not repeat the mistake if past is remembered. Then we would conclude. Friends, this essay statement reminds me of French revolutions. If you carefully study the history of France, European history, notwithstanding the complexities aside, so the most simplistic explanation of the history of France is that every monarchy was spewing hardships to the public. Correct. So in an attempt to overthrow one monarchy, another monarchy got installed. Then the people got fed up with that monarchy and another revolution took place. Then that monarchy was replaced with another monarchy. So whether you take first French Revolution between 1789 and 1799 and the second French Revolution in 1830 and even third French Revolution in 1848. So all this while every revolution just merely replaced one monarch by another monarch. Finally, the true spirit of democracy was never installed. So, what I'm trying to convey is that if you forget your past, you will repeat it. So, in the French also, every time people were attempted for a revolution, they forgot the past, that they were being ruled by a monarch and who subjected them to a lot of hardships. And then again they repeated the same, so by bringing back another monarch in another form of oppression. So thus, this essay seeks to explore and examine if people who forget the past would repeat it or not. Okay. Friends, this essay statement seems self-explanatory, but even then it is our duty to explain its meaning also. So the first, and there are two keywords basically, past and repeat. Okay. Of course, there is, if you want, you can add one more keyword, that is forget. So let us first take past. What does past represent? Past represents history, not mere happenings, but also the learnings out of it. This is important. And it is not what to say, the history as it is, but it is history as it ought to be. That is what past is all about here. Okay. If a person forgetting the past, what do you mean by forgetting the past? That means a person would forget why incidents in the history took place the way they did. Okay, and of course such happenings would force a person to draw some lessons, not to repeat it. It is quite obvious. It is intuitive. So thus a person who forgets the past would essentially means he has forgotten. It is not just erasing the memory of the things that have happened. No, it is like a person failing to understand why such adversities happened in the past. Okay, so that is the broad meaning of this. If a person fails to understand the underpinnings of adverse incidents, then he would not be in a position to preempt and prevent similar occurrences in the future. Correct? So thus it would lead to the repetition of the past. So that is the essential meaning of this topic. So that means A person who does not understand the underpinnings of the adverse impacts, adverse occurrences in the past would not take any steps to prevent or preempt their recurrences. So essentially this is a negative sense basically. It is not that the topic essentially saying that one should be very cautious of the adverse effects of the past, adverse events, occurrences of the past, so as to prevent similar occurrences in the future. So this is a negative sense. So something good may also have happened in the past, but this topic essentially does not talk much about that. So it is like you should not repeat. If you don't remember the past, you would repeat the same. That's it. Okay. So friends, now after setting the tone for the essay, it is important for us to explain as to why one should not forget the past. Correct. So the topic essentially says if you forget the past, you would repeat it. Correct. So then why should one not forget the past? First one is not repeat the mistakes. It's a very obvious thing. Correct. So you would have committed some mistake knowingly or unknowingly in the past, leading to some adverse consequences to you. If you forget the pain associated with that adverse consequence, then you would tend to repeat the same. If you repeat the same, then you would have to again face the same consequences. So thus you should not forget the past because you should not repeat the same mistakes. The best example is, so we come across people who take themselves to too much of alcoholism and then ending up with some liver complication or something. Then the doctor would advise them to refrain from taking too much alcohol or whatever, to refrain from taking alcohol totally. But so they have already suffered, okay, yet they cannot resist their temptation and not stay away from alcohol, so leading to more health issues. Correct. So that is right. If you have to remember the past, if you don't remember the past, so then you would commit the same mistakes. Similar is the case with many civil service aspirants. In attempt 1, they write mains, they realized that they had not done writing practice, so they could not finish the paper. Because of that, they did not get interview call. Okay. In attempt 2 also, if they don't remember that their lack of writing practice led to dwindling their chances of getting an interview call, then they would not do writing practice in attempt 2 also. So they would lose one more attempt. So this is something which most of us have experienced, self-experience as well as experience from the friends in and around us. So thus, it is important to remember the past so that we would understand the mistakes that were committed leading to negative occurrences, negative consequences. So that would actually alert us not to commit those mistakes leading to repeat of the same adverse consequences. Correct? Then second thing is guide others. So here, see, sometimes what happens, you don't get second chances always, right? So you have to, you have committed a mistake, you cannot, then you realize that had you taken a different path, you would have reached your destiny. But now the time has elapsed and you cannot go back in time and do it. So there is no second chance always, right? In such a scenario, you can guide people who are still in the process of realizing a similar dream or reaching a similar destination. Again, same civil service example. So the most of civil service trainers today actually, so they committed a lot of mistakes. So finally, when they realize that these were the mistakes that were committed, and if they are left with no attempts left, if the attempts are over, then such thing would not help them in their pursuit of civil services dream. Then finally they can only guide others. So that's why most of the successful civil service trainers today have become successful only because they have realized their mistake as aspirants and they don't let their students commit the same mistake. Correct? So you can guide others well if you don't forget your past. And the beauty of not forgetting the past is you would anticipate adversities. You would be in a position to anticipate the adversities. Suppose Let us say there is an young civil servant who is posted as subdivisional magistrate in some particular division where there was heavy cyclone. Okay, so in his first stint, he realizes that when there is heavy cyclone, there would be because of that winds, there would be felling of electric poles, so leading to stoppage of electricity, leading to lack of mobile network connectivity to coordinate relief and rescue operations. And he would also realize that without electricity he would not be in a position to fill the overhead water tanks to ensure water supply. So this is just that he has understood in his initial posting. Then suppose he becomes a district magistrate in a subsequent posting, then he would anticipate all these adversities well in advance. Whenever there is a cyclone threat, he would ensure that generators are put at mobile towers. He would ensure that fuel is put, diesel is put, so that the mobile network connectivity does not get affected with the felling of electric poles. He would ensure that water tankers, the all overhead tanks are filled with water, so that there would be no water scarcity, whatever. So finally you would be in a position to anticipate the adversity only if you don't forget the past. If you forget the past, then you cannot anticipate the adversity. Correct? Then remembering the past stays you grounded. You would stay grounded because you would, initially when a person starts off his career, life, he would be filled with lot of confidence and overconfidence, conceit, pride, whatnot. So then finally he realizes that everything actually, the past teaches our limitations. When you have understood your limitations, when you have understood that there are people who possess far better abilities and competencies than you, then obviously you get grounded, you stay grounded. So that is the best thing actually. Civil service, any officer for that matter. So sorry, I am coming back very often to this civil service examples because that's how I feel both of us can relate much. Okay, that aside, so an aspirant who has who remembers, a civil service officer who remembers his past of failed attempts would obviously stay grounded because he tasted failure before tasting the success. So staying humble is very important. Then such an officer would have more empathy to his subordinates. Whenever a subordinate commits a mistake unknowingly, then this fellow would understand, would guide, would make his subordinate a better employee rather than expecting the employee to have understood, to have known everything, to perform to his level. Correct? So then value everyone. See, past always teaches you the importance of remembering the past. Always teaches you the importance of value of every individual. See, because what is past basically? What does it represent? Past represents occurrences of the of the bygone days. Correct? So what what constitutes an occurrence? Occurrence basically includes individuals, right? So you would have come across you would have encountered many individuals in the past actually. So then you would have understood how every individual would have contributed directly or indirectly to your well-being, so then that would actually help you understand how to value everyone. Even a small person whom the society doesn't attach much significance also would have played some role in helping you. Very, very small things. Correct? So thus you would understand to value everyone. So that is possible only if you don't forget the past. Next, not forgetting the past enables you to understand the present better. Present is basically an offshoot of the past. Present borrows heavily from the past. Correct? If you have to value India's independence today, if you have to value the fundamental rights which is bestowed upon every citizen by Indian Constitution today, then you would understand the worth of fundamental rights. You would understand it better only if you remember that our forefathers did not have all those rights, correct? Also, if you want to understand the present system of reservations, which is enunciated by Indian Constitution or enshrined in the Indian Constitution, you would understand the concept, you would understand the spirit of that better if you understand if you remember the Indian society in the past, where there was untouchability, there was caste system, there was discrimination, etc., etc. Correct? Otherwise, this just reservation system sounds very hollow to you. You have to understand the spirit of it. You please go back and understand the past. So thus, you cannot forget the past to understand the present better. All this while we have discussed as to why should one not forget the past. Now we should also discuss what happens if one forgets the past. Okay, I mean both are slightly related, but of course in order to add one more component to the essay, we can split that. So the first and foremost thing is, if you forget the past, then you would reinvent the past. See, there is a popular saying, right? Reinventing the wheel, popular phrase in English and even in administration. You should not reinvent the wheel. See, so many times what happens if you don't remember the past, you would try to do the things which were already done in the past, rather than starting from the stage at which it stopped. You would try to start from the initial stage itself. So that would actually lead to lot of confusion. That would actually lead to lot of not just confusion, it would also lead to waste of time, resources, everything. Because somebody has already done something and brought it from level 0 to level 2. If you are a smart fellow, if you don't forget the past, then you should start from level 2 and go ahead. But most of the cases, since you don't remember that this was done from level 0 to level 2, you would start from level 0 and you would take it till level 2, then you would retire. Someone else will come and they will start from level 0 again. So this reinventing the past is very, very bad. So if you don't remember the past, you would bound to reinvent it. See, so many times forgetting the past leads to lack of confidence. It is very surprising. See, imagine what happened to Indians during British rule. So Indians forgot the glory which India enjoyed during Guptas, during Mauryas, during Vijayanagara Empire, etc. So every part of India was so wealthy, so rich. So Indians were, every part of the world was looking up to India in the ancient times. That all of us would concur with. Nalanda, all the travelers, you see, only travelers have come to see India, whether it is Yuan Song, whether it is Fayan, etc., etc. Indians going out, you would hardly find anything. Why that happens? Only the travelers go and swarm the countries which are model countries, wealthy countries, developed countries. Correct? It's quite natural. But so the country that was being looked up to, for its better governance, for its better administration, for its better wealth, development, whatever, finally had to come under British clutches. So what was the state of Indians? So Indians became very diffident. Indians had to, they became so much dependent on the British. Why? What was the root cause for all these things? Because they forgot India's glory. They thought Western Europeans were better than them. They forgot that even Indians had built great empires. Indians lived a better life than Europeans. Indians forgot that totally. It was only Swami Vivekananda who came and who made, who kindled that, the confidence in Indians, correct? So all of us are aware that. So the diffident attitude was because Indians forgot their past. Next, immaturity. Friends, actually, see, if a person, anybody for that matter, every individual would evolve over a period of time, correct? So when would you become a better individual? Because when you start experiencing various things, When you start experiencing various things and ensuring that those experiences are subjected to a litmus test, and finally whatever was done correctly, whatever was done wrongly, you would start discarding the wrong acts and you would start embracing the right acts and right behaviors and making it part of personality, and that's how your personality evolves. Correct? So you forget the past, you continue to stay immature. Correct? So a maturity is very important. So what to talk, how to talk, so how to convince someone, all these things we learn over a period of time. It is not that just out of college, you are a very good an individual or a mature individual. Slowly you become a better version of yourself. So that is possible only if you don't forget the past. If you forget the past, then you would be the same as you were in college. So there would be no evolution in you. Correct? So that is why it is important not to forget the past. Then non-realization of the value of the present. Correct, friends? Same. I'll again go back to the Indian independence example. So if you forget the past, see whatever you have got today is directly or indirectly is the gift of someone in the past. Correct? So let us come back to the same example. So finally we are enjoying independence today. Correct? So is it, is the independence just given to us freely? Did we just get the independence like that? No, right? Lakhs of people, hundreds of people have laid their life for getting this independence from the British, for getting India liberated from the British. Correct? It was not a small thing. But so only if you realize the sacrifices that were made by our forefathers to liberate India from the clutches of the British, then only we would value it. So so even today, whenever you see people who take to violent protests, who resort to arson, who damage public property, who don't behave, who don't espouse the civic sense in their transactions with others. So what do you think? See, this is all because we are able to do all these things because our forefathers sacrificed their lives. So if you don't realize that, you would act, you would damage the public property, you would not respect fellow individual, you would not keep your surroundings clean. Come on, friends. So this is all because somebody sacrificed it. You don't realize that had you continued to be under the British rule, perhaps all these things you would not have got. So thus it is important for us to remember the past, to value the present. Then arrogance. Friends, the best example is, let us say the father worked very hard and finally the son and the grandson is enjoying. If the son and the grandson forgets the hardships, the hard work which was done by father and grandfather to bring family to a certain level, then he would become very arrogant. He would not realize the worth. So this is the problem with many third and fourth generation entrepreneurial families, bureaucrat families, even political families. So that's why it is important that one should not forget the past. Friends, after batting so hard for not forgetting the past, it is time for us to stop a bit, pause a bit, and then take a counter view whether one should always remember the past. Should remembering the past would always help. So the first thing is not necessarily. So the reasons being, first is lack of unconventional decisions. See, if you always remember the past, you become a prisoner of the past. So you would try to just treat the path which was trodden by your forefathers, and you would not take any unconventional decisions. Suppose everyone in your family are government servants, your father, your grandfather, etc. So you may think that it is safe to just prepare for some exam, clear and become a government employee. You would not take any unconventional decision of starting your own enterprise, etc. So you should never become prisoner of the past. So, and also so many times it is risky also. Let us say somebody, your father or grandfather or somebody borrowed a loan, tried to start an enterprise, and finally their entrepreneurial idea, let us say, got failed, and the entire family was famished. Then actually that would actually create a sense of fear in you, and you would not take any unconventional decision. You would take very less risk. So remembering the past always is also dangerous. So that would lead to lack of unconventional decisions. The second problem with remembering the past is it would create a lot of diffidence in an individual. Again, I go back to Indian freedom struggle. So if one revolution, one uprising is crushed by an oppressor, by very very vehemently, then that would send so much shockwaves that people would not try to raise voice against him. So thus remembering the past would actually make you more and more diffident. So the best example, that is the whole idea, where very cruel punishments are meted out to many revolutionaries. So all of us are aware of that Tiananmen Square incident in China, right? When every individual, they staged a big protest in for demanding democracy. What happened? So that wound is still there in the mind of Chinese, as all of us read in newspapers actually. So sometimes those things actually you would feel that so all of us who went to protest, all of them who went to protest were crushed immediately. So why to take that risk? Let's relax. Then depression, hard to move on. Friends, actually, if you don't forget the past, see, there are bad experiences. There are very, very self-deprecating experiences. So you have to overcome them and go ahead, right? You would, the loss of your loved ones, the loss of love. Okay, if you remember the past always, how would you move on? You have to move on in life. So you everybody cannot become Devdas. You have lost your father, mother, everyone, your closer circle. You cannot just keep mourning their death. You have to move on. You are in relationship with a girl or a boy, whatever. So basically you lost them, the relationship broke off, so they married someone else. You have to move on, you have to lead your life. So you cannot go for depression, right? So that is why you have to forget past. Forgetfulness is bliss, is God sent opportunity at times. Then both feed into each other. It actually means past reinforces itself and presents in a very very greater quantum, greater volume in the present actually. This happens if presents also give a fertile ground for the past. So thus past and present feed into each other. So let us say a forefather has started a business. If the present generation also allows the same business to thrive, putting its own effort, that would actually lead to the growth of the business leaps and bounds. So thus the both past and the present feed into each other. So it is only that if you totally forget the past, if you don't reinforce it now, then past would die. Even the good past will also die, which is not desirable, which is not warranted. Okay, friends, another analytical dimension to this essay topic is that would one not repeat the mistake if the past is remembered? Finally, what we are saying, the person who forgets the past is doomed to repeat it. Does that mean if you don't repeat the mistake, would you not repeat the mistake if you remember the past? No, not necessarily. Finally, friends, sometimes, so that is because even if you remember the past, you would repeat it at times. Why? Because of your inability to understand the mistakes of the past. you have to first understand whether that was a mistake or not. If you just know that something happened in the past and if you remember it, if you don't understand it properly, then you are bound to repeat it. So the best example is the management of economy. So sometimes actually you know that there was economic downfall in the past. That was because of excessive spending by the state. Then if you don't understand the cause effect relationship, that economic downfall was because of the excessive spending by the state, if you understand that it is because of something else, okay, then you would continue to spend more now, leading to or making way for another economic downfall. So finally, see, it is not just remembering the past that matters. It is actually understanding the cause-effect relationship of the events in the past that matters. So if you diagnose that problem wrongly, then you would bound to repeat it. Then second is myopic orientation. So short-term orientation. See, as all of us are aware, see, maybe you have understood the past well, you remember that something bad happened in the past, but you also know that whatever the event 1000 years ago or 100 years ago led to an adverse event 50 years ago. That means it took almost 50 years for the impact of a wrong decision 100 years ago to present itself in an adverse scenario, correct? So now though you would think that initially there would be no adversity, at least in my term, in my lifetime, then why should I care? So despite knowing that it would lead to some negative impact in the long run, you would tend to sacrifice the long term impact for the benefit in the short run. The best example is environmental degradation. So all of us want comforts. So because of in search of comforts, all of us are actually sacrificing sustainable development. Then selfish interest. See, sometimes friends, the decision, decision of one person would not may be good for him, but may be bad for everyone else. So the past has also taught him the same. But so long as that decision is good for me, if I don't care, then I would repeat the same mistake of the past. So thus, friends, after all this discussion, the best way to conclude this essay is, friends, whether a person remembers or forgets the past doesn't matter. So there are instances where a person has remembered the past and then committed the same mistake. There are instances where the person has forgotten the past, has committed the same mistake. So finally what matters is the individual conviction to understand the past, causation in the past properly, and take a broader view and always ensure that his decisions and deeds are taken, decisions and deeds are subjected to a thorough scrutiny of their impact on various stakeholders, and then move on. So then only this would work. So there cannot be any hard and fast rule like you remember the past, you will do well, you forget the past, you don't do well. Nothing like that. Basically it is individual specific, it is situation specific. An individual who has the ability to understand the past well, who knows what worked in the past, what did not work in the past, and who has the smartness to import only those things that worked well in the past to the present realities, and also account for the present changed circumstances into the decision making algorithm, if I may say so. Then finally come up with a decision that would actually do good for every stakeholder, that would do good not just in the short run but also in the long run. So it is basically an individual specific, then only things will be fine. Okay, thank you friends. So let's meet next week with another topic.